Hey y'all, I'm your host Amaje, and welcome to another episode of Rewatch, a podcast where I binge your favorite shows as fast as I can. Before we get started this week, I just wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for your unwavering support and enthusiasm for the podcast. Thanks to your dedication, we have hit a major milestone and reached 10 Rewatch episodes, which in podcast world is low-key a big deal. Okay, let's get into it. Many weeks ago, we spun a wheel and we landed on the ABC hit drama series Scandal. Season 5 of Scandal premiered on September 24th, 2015 and ran for 21 episodes, ending on May 12th, 2016. And if you're from the US, you'll know and remember this as peak election season. And most of this season actually focuses on the election going on within the series. But let's not jump the gun here. Let's start how we always start, with episode 1. And as always, there will be spoilers. Now, last week, I did a little rundown on the random things that happened in season 4. So let me tell you how it ended, so we can understand how season 5 begins. Essentially, Fitz kicks Mellie out of the White House for doing a terrible, horrible thing of getting a grand jury murdered. And yes, I mean every single one of them, including the bus driver. He goes to Liv's house to go talk to her afterwards, but it turns out that she's already at the White House waiting for him already. So season 5 opens up with Fitz and Olivia being together for real this time. Mellie is living outside of the White House. He's essentially barred her from attending all public events with him. And by public events, I mean a giant party for an American princess. And I don't mean Meghan Markle, but very similar situation. Though this time the story turns out a bit more like Princess Diana, which was obviously done on purpose because this is a fictional television show after all. Our American princess married the crown prince of Caledonia, and Fitz is giving the couple a party. He's just kind of doing this because he wants to put a military base in the country. Anywho, a little bit later, after the party is over, Olivia gets an emergency phone call, and the next thing you know, she is speed walking in a tunnel up to the site of a horrible car accident. And the victim is the princess herself. And just like another tragic scene that cost us another princess, the leeches of photographers are taking photos of her body. Liv covers her with a jacket because the police just couldn't bother to do it themselves. Liv, being the amazing fixer that she is hired by the queen and the prince to retrieve all photos taken of the princess. Liv's team does what they're good at and hunts down the sick photographers and trades the pictures for stacks of dough. While going through the photos, they come across an unknown motorcycle rider. Alright, here's where the plot thickens. Turns out that the rider caused the crash and someone assassinated the princess. Then the plot gets even thicker. The happy couple hasn't been spending that much time together lately, doing separate events in different hemispheres. The princess had been spending more time with her bodyguard as a result, if you catch my drift. And if you don't, I'll just say it. She was smashing her bodyguard. Y'all, now sprinkle a pregnancy on top of this tea, and who do you think wanted her dead? You got an idea, right? It's obvious, right? Wrong. It wasn't the husband. It was the mother. The queen, y'all. She was the queen. She had her daughter-in-law assassinated because there was a chance that the baby was not of royal blood. And yes, she admitted all of this to Olivia. She tells Fitz, and he informs her that she won't be prosecuted because she has diplomatic immunity. She's quite literally getting away with murder, and Liv is not having it. Liv knows that nothing can be done legally, so she informs the prince of his mother's crime. He demands that when they get back to Caledonia, that she will abdicate the throne and spend the rest of her days in a castle far away, and he'll never visit her again. After taking down the queen, Olivia goes back to her boyfriend's house, aka the White House, and Fitz wants to know why she doesn't want to go public with their relationship. Olivia tells him that she wants them to be together, but they need to take it easy. She doesn't want to get into the relationship full on if they're still broken. If they do, they'll be destroyed. Fitz agrees to wait until they're ready. Unfortunately, Abby interrupts this intimate moment on the balcony to let Fitz know that there's something that he needs to see. Former Vice President Sally Langston is on TV declaring that Olivia Pope has found her way into the president's bed, and she has photos to prove it. Oh my god, I feel like this is one of my favorite season openers. Over and over again, when I thought I knew where the story was going, I didn't, and the plot twist would happen, and it turns out I knew absolutely nothing. And that's what I like, because I watch so much TV, the writing can become predictable to me, and I feel like this episode was strong, and it surprised me a lot. Something I left out was that we actually got to meet the princess, and she was a cool chick. So I was thinking she was supposed to be like a type of marrying up visualization for Liv and Fitz, but then she literally literally died in the next scene, so that was out of the window. And then the ending, y'all. So Sally is like a big political show person. I don't really know how to describe it because there's not really something we have in real life here, but she exposes Liv and Fitz on national television. And the next few episodes to follow are wild too. After she's exposed, she obviously is bombarded with reporters, so she takes on a client in the middle of this fiasco and runs away, essentially. Mellie offers to save them by coming up with some lie, but Fitz basically says he'd rather eat a pair of jeans than let her do that. Then Olivia finally gives in and admits to the press that she is the mistress with one separate word. Yes, and the world explodes. Then after that brings me to my favorite episode of the season, which is episode 3, titled Paris is Burning, which is definitely an appropriate title for this one. I mean, literally, y'all, I have half a page of notes just for this one episode. It was that good. So this episode starts off basically right where the last one ended, but also like at the same time, the White House has decided that the way to handle Fitz and Liv being exposed is that Mellie and Fitz would have an interview proclaiming that everything in their relationship was solid, which is obviously a lie. As the interview gets started, Abby has formed a Secret Service detail to shut it down. Abby runs a fake intruder drill right as the cameras start running, but not before they say that they're okay and they're caught in the lie. Fitz and Mellie get rushed to the Oval Office and watch a replay of Olivia confirming her affair with Fitz. Fitz's jaw is on the floor, knowing that the woman he truly loves is finally choosing him. Liv shows up and Mellie greets her with, "Oh look, it's the girl who can't shut her legs." Or her mouth. The group tries to figure out what to do, and Fitz's plan is to tell the truth. And obviously, Mellie is not having it with this plan and storms out. At the same time, the interviewer is holding the footage of Mellie and Fitz hostage over their heads, unless they come back and give another interview. In the meantime, Mellie calls in reinforcements, aka Cyrus, to represent her because she wants to make a deal with Fitz. She's put in so much time and effort and energy into this marriage, she's leaving it better than she came. Some of her demands are getting Fitz's family's estate, keeping his last name, and getting his endorsement for president when she decides to run. Also, she demands that Fitz and Liv delay going public for a while. They agree to her terms, but she feels like they caved too easy and that she deserves more, but is unsure of what she wants. Cyrus realizes that she's never going to be satisfied, prompting him to approach Fitz in the Oval Office and urge him to take Mellie back. Meanwhile, Olivia encounters Mellie while she's looking for her secret stash of her daddy's homemade hooch, and the two have a real honest conversation. Mellie lets Liv in on the life she's in store for as she has to stand next to the president. Olivia comes back to Fitz and advises him to reconcile with Mellie and wait the 18 months until his term is over. Following this advice, Fitz apologizes to Mellie for mistreating her in the past and acknowledges her contributions to his success. Cyrus lets Fitz know that Mellie will do the interview with him. He also wants his old job back. Fitz fired him last season, by the way. Fitz harshly tells Cyrus that he does not work here anymore and dismisses him. Cyrus goes straight to Mellie and tells her that she got played by the greatest politician in the world. Moments later, Fitz approaches her to get ready for the interview, and Mellie starts seeing flashes of all that she's done through the years and gone through just for this man. She stops just short of the interview room. She turns to Fitz with a distrustful look and tells him, "You almost had me," before fleeing down the hall, missing the interview. In the background of this whole episode that no one notices because of Liv and Fitz drama, the Louvre is on fire, hence the name of the episode. Now, if you're asking why am I telling this, it's just kind of relevant later in other episodes, but back to the main storyline. Because Mellie is gone, Fitz wants to go on by himself, but that's a bad idea. So Abby decides to go with a plan I like to call Kill Liv. Abby heads straight to the White House briefing room. Olivia informs a confused Fitz that throwing her under the bus is the only viable option and orders him to sit down and watch with her. She wants him to watch her choose him. Meanwhile, Abby trashes Olivia's reputation on national TV. This episode is so good. It felt like watching firefighters do their thing. From beginning to end, everyone's trying to distinguish the forest fire that Liv ignited. And let me be clear, in this story, Olivia and Fitz, for that matter, are the bad guys. Constantly in the episode, Mellie is being treated like a villain, and in my opinion, that's completely wrong. Those two literally ruined her life. They embarrassed her time and time again. If you can't see where I'm going with this, she's obviously going to be one of my favorite characters again this season. She lifted him up to become president, sacrificing so much just for him to do her like this. It's wrong. Like, as much as I do love Liv and Fitz together, at the end of the day, she stole him from Mellie. During Fitz's acknowledgement of her, he nearly quotes her from some advice that she gave in season 2 when the pastor's wife needed some advice. If you know what I'm talking about, it should be in like episode 2 of the Scandal rewatch. He says that he gave up and didn't have her will to fight for their relationship. She didn't sign up to be cheated on. She thought they would grow old together. He even admitted that he wanted that with her too. During the rest of the season, she starts her Senate term and we see the ladies of her committee wanting to impeach Fitz. But they want Mellie to be on board first before they do it. And as much as she hates him, she doesn't want him to be impeached. That is until Fitz takes the presidential motorcade to Olivia's house while the world is watching. Embarrassed, she calls for his head. Then, during the hearings, she saves Liv from testifying by releasing her father, and we get this masterpiece of a monologue.
I had a realization about you. All these years I've spent hating you, wishing he'd never met you. Thinking you showed up and took him from me. You just appeared out of nowhere and ruined everything.
Mellie.
But I was wrong. You are not my enemy. You are my freedom. You are my white knight. You are my challenger, my push to greatness, my savior. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. You are gonna make me President of the United States.
Alright, that was my favorite character. Time for my least, and it's Fitz. At this point, I feel like he's written almost as an antagonist. Like, dude is outwardly taking his mistress out on dates before he's even divorced. Like, this is an intelligent, overly educated man, but sometimes he acts like a teenage boy. After him and Liv are together out loud, it's just a mouthpiece while she feeds him everything he needs to say. After he finds out that Liv is the one who helped her dad get out of jail, he forgives her and then basically punishes her with the First Lady treatment. And by that I mean he moves all of her things into the White House without her permission, forces her to attend parties and galas knowing she hates them. After she misses one dinner, he yells at her and tells her that she's worse than Mellie. Like, dude, BFFR. Thankfully they break up, and it's 100% because when he was married, they both had what they wanted. He had his wife doing the First Lady duties and Olivia doing bedroom duties, and neither one of them wanted to be doing both. Then after that, he just has a carousel of women parading in and out of his bedroom like he's trying to meet a quota or something. Now, this season was also split like into halves-ish. The first half was about Fitz and Liv, and the second half was about the upcoming election. On the Republican side, we have Senator Melody Grant, Vice President Susan Ross, and energy tycoon Hollis Doyle. And if you remember anything about the 2016 election, then you know exactly who Hollis Doyle is a caricature of. So much so that they named the episode after him. Now I'm just gonna let the clip explain it for me.
I want Mellie Grant on that ticket.
Oh, so do I. Classy piece of ass, that lady. Elevates his vote.
However, we do have some serious concerns about your message. It's exclusionary and deeply offensive.
Oh, hell, you don't think I believe any of that racist crap I spew out there in the boonies, do you? I'm a businessman, Livy. Just giving the customers what they want. And you thinking I'm some kind of deep-fried cross-burner because I'm from south of the Mason-Dixon ain't exactly open-minded, you don't mind me saying.
Your speech is your rhetoric.
Is for a specific market. And when I get to the general, all them mouth-breathing morons who couldn't read a newspaper column if their lives depended on it, well, they think I only just started telling people what they wanted to hear, and they got the real me 6 months ago. Tell you the truth, my most pressing concern is there ain't enough Purell in the world to make me want to keep shaking their filthy inbred hands. I mean, country people. Am I right? So we got a deal?
And if you think that was shocking, let me tell you about my choice for the most shocking episode. And that's episode 17, Thwack. Abby informs Fitz that one of his past lovers, Lillian Forrester, a writer for the New York Times, has met with Andrew Nichols, the former vice president, who recently gained his ability to speak after Huck gave him a stroke for having Liv kidnapped. Andrew is going to reveal that Fitz went to war for Olivia which is an impeachable offense. During a secret meeting, Elizabeth North, Susan's chief of staff, suggests killing him, but the group dismisses this idea. Huck injects Andrew with a needle and brings him to a secret room below the White House, where they offer him protection and a payoff. The group provides Andrew with $10 million, but he reneges on his promise to remain silent. Fitz decides to take responsibility for the war and implicates only himself. Abby opposes the idea, but Olivia supports it, believing it to be the right thing for a leader to do. Now, all this Andrew stuff has been causing Olivia to have flashbacks about her time in captivity. Olivia visits Andrew in the underground room. She wants to talk about his best outcomes in this whole thing. Andrew has nothing but vile things to say about her, about how he wonders how much she's worth now that Fitz and her aren't together anymore. It's more than she can handle mentally. So, next thing you know, thwack, 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 Olivia beats Andrew to death with a steel chair. After the news of Andrew's death from a fall, Fitz addresses the nation. Olivia gets cleaned up, and Quinn and Huck drop her at home. Not her apartment. She's left at her childhood home, aka her dad's house. Now, I can't really top that with anything else that happened in the season, not even the finale. It was weak, but here's a rundown. Mellie wins the Republican nomination spot. Her running mate is Jake. And Frankie Vargas, a character who I'll probably talk more about next week, won the Democratic one, and Cyrus is his running mate. Then the episode literally ends there. That's all we know, is that those 4 are going to be the candidates for the election. I guess the real election doesn't start till season 6, so make sure you join me to see who takes the win. Before I leave you, I just want to say again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your loyalty, your enthusiasm, and your support. Your love for the show is what makes it all worthwhile, so thank you. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you for many, many more episodes to come. Be sure to follow the podcast's social media pages and share on them as well. Make sure you're following the podcast on Instagram at RewatchPod and Twitter at RewatchPod_ for more content. Hit us up and feel free to recommend your favorite shows. And lastly, please rate the pod 5 stars. Anyway, back to binge watching. Try and catch me.